So here we are at California African American Museum, taking a few pictures of a brand new exhibit about to open officially tomorrow, I believe.
Yes, at 1 o'clock Saturday, March 19th, at the California African American Museum, known more for his work with George Clinton's Parliament-Funk, but my goodness, he has an amazing...
Oh, these are the ones from downtown Skid Row.
Yeah, the artist is going to be here tomorrow to talk about his work. Look at this.
I think it's interesting that he doesn't take pictures, that he sees it and holds it somehow.
Photographic memory.
You know, like some poets can just do their whole poem.
Right. He's a consummate artist.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at this. Hey, look at this. That's beautiful.
Oh, I've been here.
Where?
This is on 5th Street.
So he was here in the late 2000s.
Yeah, that's on 5th Street.
Mid to late 2000s. That's on 5th Street, huh?
Yeah. I didn't even know they had tents back in those
And
days.
then the question is, how does this make you feel as someone who lives in that neighborhood?
Well,
Ooh, look at the homeless tent.
it makes me feel good because
1996.
that means this is a realistic picture. It's not just something formulated to be beautiful. It's something that's realistic, that he's made beautiful because he's gotten the soul of the picture, the soul of the situation.
It's a slice of LA life.
Like this is the soul of the man.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
not just
that's an enlargement, a print. Come look at the original. That's right. He captures the soul.
right. At least that's how I see it.
Look at that.
Oh yeah.
So this is a solo exhibit of the artist Overton Lloyd, who's well known for illustrating the covers of Parliament-Funk's albums. However, what's very little known is that he's also a phenomenal fine artist. He's got a tremendous repertoire of work. It's high art. It's fantastic.
Are you making a recommendation?
I'm making a recommendation. You got to come see this work. It's brilliant. He works in multiple mediums. He's a multi-dimensional artist, and the works are just breathtaking. And it's Overton Lloyd.
The works are just breathtaking. This is from an artist.
Yeah, I think the work, for me, they move me. They move me to tears. The work moved me to tears, and I think that Overton Lloyd is a consummate artist, and it's just brilliant work, in my opinion. So,
Well, thank you so much, Lily Bernard.
yeah, come see Overton Lloyd exhibit at California African American Museum.
So, Lily, are those tears and you coming?
Yeah,
Tell me what's going on?
No, I just walked into the exhibit. The
Which exhibit?
The Overton exhibit, and tears. I mean, they're dry now, but they were just flooding.
So, as an artist, how would you
Eva
rate?
Brown is the curator.
Yeah, there you go.
She did a great job in bringing this here.
Thank you,
Lily.
Oh my God. So how did this all begin? He took his brother's bicycle out and it got stolen. And his mother said, you're going to have to figure out a way to pay for it. He went to the Michigan State Fair, started doing caricatures. Next thing you know, he has $200 in his pocket. He goes, I can do this. At age 17, he dropped out of school, became a hippie, and went and lived in the Shelby Hotel and became the de facto artist in residency. He packed up his bags and went to New York. He lives in New York. Now he's doing illustrations. He's working for several artists, and he's working for Hustler magazine. He's working for several magazines that are on here. And he's making money. Long story short, it's coming full circle. Now what happens is he gets invited to return to Detroit to go to a listening party for George Clinton. And there's Bootsy Collins. They see him drawing. Long story short, now he's on the road with Bootsy and George Clinton. And this is where his career begins, with Clinton and Bootsy and the Funkadelics. But Overton decides, he goes, you know what, I want to take a hiatus. He comes to California and he decides, I want to really focus on my art. He decides to now live in downtown Los Angeles in a 2,000 square foot loft space, but he's living in the homeless district. And then this is before the regentrification of what downtown is, right? At that time too, they needed a caricature artist on the show Win, Lose, or Draw. He gets the job. So he was the caricature artist for years on Win, Lose, or Draw. He's living in a lot. But what this exhibit is really about is the whole time Overton was growing up and moving on, it's about his visual journalism of life. So this is what this is about. So I'm going to take you through it real quick. These pieces here are acrylic on masonite. And this is when he was living downtown. He would go out in the middle of the night and he would just start drawing. And he would walk and draw. What was incredible is when you look at many of these pictures, whenever he was out, he would just start drawing. He said, I would walk out and he would see people and he would just walk and sketch.
Yep.
He was at a concert. He would break out his watercoloring kit.
You mentioned the technology piece.
Let me back up. George brought something up. 10 of these artworks here. There's QR codes. What you can do is you download the scan and he narrates about 10 of these pieces. So let's do one here.
Really?
Enough to enter the infamous Jaffe's Lounge. I found myself surrounded by hardcore grown folks. I was such a timid young lad that I tried my very best to just disappear and simply observe. I always carried two things in those days: a sketch pad. I hated using them.
Okay. So the interesting thing about this is he talks about this gentleman, and he's in the thing, and he says this guy was the epitome of cool, and it was like one of those guys, remember, dressed up like
Jimmy.
a
It's not Jimmy.
No,
He thought I
yeah,
looked like it.
wait, and he says all this guy would do is like, and he talks about him. That's why the piece is named like, and he says I was just fascinated by the position of this guy with the cigarette dangling, and he said, little did I know this would become his thought process of creating Sir Nose to Funk.
And what's beautiful is that his commentary are works of art in themselves.
Exactly.
That's
exactly because he has the right voice. What's best is if you have the earplugs. There's so many people, and the reason why I did it like this is many of the young people, they walk around with their headphones and they actually can listen. So he's telling stories about 10 of these. We picked 10 that we thought would be very fascinating and interesting. And they're all set back to, the background music is Miles Davis, so it has this jazz feel. There's one on the subway that he tells you about his experience. He's on an LA subway. He just breaks out his paint kit, starts painting, and then he goes, I gotta go. That's it. But they're very, he has great voiceover.
Maybe this is a new trend, huh?
Yes, right?
Let's look at these. These are the ones where he would go out downtown. And this is one of the ones. This is the one that he's talking about where he's on the subway. And he captures this young man. And he talks about how the subways are not like the ones in New York. What am I trying to say? Honor system.
Yeah.
And he says, I've never seen anything like this. And so in the background, the guy who did this for me, you hear the tracks of the subway. And that's how they've done it. So he basically, at this one, this is how downtown looked.
It's so clear and very vivid. Like you can tell exactly what it is.
Okay.
Right?
We move into this room. This here's the funk room. I'm glad you guys are loving it.
Did you plan this?
Oh, I've been trying to get this exhibit going for a while. Yeah. Now these are all, this room will show you the various concepts of when he was trying to do albums and working with George Clinton, and then also he came up with the comic strips. I learned a lot about George Clinton, those guys.
He's a
Genius.
Yeah. This particular here actually shows you back in the day when there was albums, and you actually had pull-outs. When they had the pull-outs or you open the albums, there was all these cartoon characters and comic strips that he helped design.
Would you consider this a retrospective?
No, you know what I consider it? It's a sampling of his work.
Why
And
not a
all the
retrospective?
and all
It's much more?
because it's not chronological.
Okay.
What it is sampling to show you all the different mediums he worked in, where his visual documentation. This particular here picture is on our cover of Museum Notes, tight. He saw these people walking down the street. He broke out his pad, followed them. Wow.
So he walks?
He would walk, or he'll be at a concert, and while George Clinton is performing.
Consummate artist.
You know the author Ray Bradbury? Ray Bradbury? Ray Bradbury did Dinosaur Tales.
Yes.
He was asked to illustrate one of the stories. If you see this, it doesn't look like his work, but he actually did that dinosaur, and this is the one we blew.
Oh my goodness. Ray Bradbury.
This is George Clinton's niece. They're on a bus, a tour bus. They're on a bus in London. She was new to the music industry. She breaks out her CD, puts on the lipstick. He captures this. I said, did you take a picture? Because I said, how did you have time to do that? I said, you have to have a photographic memory. He goes, I don't know if I do.
He did this from memory?
Yes. He did it on a tour bus. He did not a tour bus. Roadie. They're in London with George Clinton. They're in London, and this is George Clinton's granddaughter. And I don't know where they were headed. So he said he looked behind him, sees her, but the idea, he was able to get all the details.
The detail.
Even the look at
Oh yeah, the
detail,
hat.
the
Yeah.
hat. I mean,
The chairs, the ring.
and this is done in oil.
Even the seat.
Even the seat. And when he talks about this, it's amazing. Sir Knowles Devoid of Funk with George Clinton was more or less a character that they came up with.
Devoid of funk?
He didn't want to dance. He was devoid of any kind of funk. I can't funk. I'm not into funk.
Who didn't
I can't
want to
do
dance?
that. Sir Knowles, devoid
Okay.
of funk.
Okay.
And remember the song Flashlight?
Yeah.
Okay, well, when you shine the light on Sir Knowles Devoid of Funk, he can't help it, but he starts to move and starts dancing. So there's this whole story behind all those characters of Sir Knowles Devoid of Funk, Aqua Boogie, and all those characters.
So what were you saying about this gentleman's work?
This is amazing. It's that he is a natural artist. He's a consummate artist. And Vita Brown, the curator, talked to us about how he's inspired by everyday life around him, how he walked through LA, downtown LA, and had to impulsively pull out his pad and drawing utensils and draw while he's walking. And then he has this photographic memory that he's able to capture things. But he's a sophisticated artist without a formal education. His compositions are just, brilliant and outstanding. And there's wonderful balance and asymmetry. Zora Neale Hurston talks about the so-called black aesthetic being angular and asymmetric. And you see this angularity, this asymmetry, and it's just powerful. It's just amazing. So I wept. I came in here and I wept. I was just...
And now that's a compliment.
You saw me. You saw me.
I tried to ignore you. I said, is she crying?
I was crying. The tears were just flooding down my face.
Tears of joy and appreciation,
He's
of course.
just a master, You think of the P-Funk album covers and the characterizations, but my goodness, his breadth of work is amazing. His breadth of style. I mean, look at this. It's just, look at these compositions. Can you zoom in on this one?
So you want to tell people where we are, by the way?
Yeah, we're in the California African American Museum and the artist Overton Lloyd. Saturday, tomorrow, March 19th at 1 o'clock. So come and listen to
And the curator?
is Vita Brown, who is an employee of the California African American Museum. Phenomenal job.
Yes.
Look at this. Yes.
This is the type of artwork you have to take like 20 minutes to look at each piece because there's so much detail.
Right. And you can scan the barcode. There are 10 of the works have barcodes. You can scan them and you can listen to the voice of the artist, Overton Lloyd.
I can just tell you, ended up, first I was on 4th Street near East LA, then I ended up on 4th and Main. 4th and Main was a little, that was the street where they were starting to, what do you call it, gentrification? Yeah, gentrification was occurring. And a lot of times, you know, I would be confused as one of the homeless, which worked to my advantage, sketching them, you know, without being too noticed, you know. Because basically what I wanted to do was show the humanity. We call them homeless people, but, you know, first we're people, right?
That's why I said the people sleeping on the street.
Yeah, we're people.
That is their home.
We're not homeless people sleeping on the street. We're people sleeping on the street.
Exactly.
I sleep on the street.
That's right.
Okay. And I wanted to show that humanity, we don't have the art here. At one point, I thought I could be Keith Haring and go out and turn the homeless district into like a museum, you know, and I would do paintings of them